Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to get back on the cable build that I was doing the other day. Remember I just did the one end. Today I'm going to finish it up and show you how I did it. So let's get to it. Okay, if you remember right, I made this, I put this end on, I made this much of the cable, and then I was going to plate these ends, and that's what I did. And I left enough out here, that more than enough. And what I also did, actually I did it just before I made this one, was I extended the 3-piece cable here. So I made this piece here. Of course, I eliminated the oil injection cable because I'm not using oil injection. But anyhow, I made this cable. I didn't make the top part, but I made this piece here to extend it, and I put it on the bike and it works perfect. So what I found is you've got to measure this end. This is the best thing that I can find anyway. You got to measure this end of your cable with this amount of whatever it takes to have the slide on it. And what I did was I just went right up in here and marked the cable. Okay, that's how far it's sticking out of the cap right here. And let me show you what I did from there. You know, if it's a broken cable, I'm not, you know, you're kind of, you've just got to do the best you can, and maybe you'll have to trim it. Let me get you a little closer. Okay. So what I did was I went up here in here with a Sharpie and just marked where the slide was. And then you can remove the slide. And remember, this piece is on there when you marked it. So you don't want to remove that. I think my mark's already come off. Okay, what I did was I measured with this ruler. I'm pulling the cable out as far as it'll go, and then right here it comes that far. So that's that measurement I have on this end. This is what I need. So I can go ahead and put this back together, and sometimes that's easier said than done. You don't need the needle or anything in there when you're doing this. Now when I measured that, that was to the end of the tip, or the tip of the wire, the cable, not the end, the cable end that's on there. Okay, now what I do is come down to the other end, and with this assembled down here, I measure this end. And this end gives me 22 millimeters. So I take the 22 millimeters at the grip end, and actually this I didn't tell you, but it measures 54 millimeters at the carb end. So you add those together and you want a total of 76 millimeters sticking out. Now, see, this cable is different because of this piece in the middle. Now, when I measured this before, remember I had 63 millimeters and 17 millimeters at the other end for a total of 80. But see, you're losing some space in here because of this piece. This is what slides inside here and has both of your lower cables hooked to it. So you've got this much that you don't need now if you're making a single cable. if you're making a cable for one of these, a 3-piece, just make each individual cable and put it back together, and everything will be just like it was. The only difference is if you're extending that cable, and the only difference there is going to be the length of the total length of your cable and your sheath. You still want the exact same stick out on each end, if there is any. Usually you just pull it all the way one way, measure it, and that's where you're at. And that's where we're at now with a single cable. We don't have all this, we don't have this stick out at the other end that we had before because of this piece that's in here. So what we need to do is build this cable now with this pulled all the way up to the stop there, and we're going to have 76 millimeters of stick out right here, and that's what we want. And that's so you want to leave just a little bit more for your to fray it, but that is where the 76 millimeters is where your cable end should be. That should be the end of it. So you just go a little beyond that and fray your cable for the stick out. Okay, now I've got everything pulled together and all the slack pulled this way, and I've got my cable end on here, but I want to go to 76 millimeters. I've already got that sort of marked there, I think. Okay. So right there, I've got it marked with a Sharpie, and actually up here is the 76. So I left room for my fitting there. So this is going to, the mark that I made for 76 is going to be here at the end. It's going to be behind the fitting after I put it on. So the first thing I need to do is I need to cut the excess off. And I showed you how to do that before with the Dremel tool, or if you've got a cut-off plier that will cut this, that's probably even better. But I use my my Dremel tool. Okay, I've got that cut off, and I'm going to bring this all the way out, and this last little bit is what's going to fray. And remember that you want your tapered end over here, because it's going to form when you fray the wire and then solder it, it's going to form a ball in there basically to keep this from coming off. If you put it on the other way, you don't have that as much area for that ball to form, and it may slip off. So let me get ready to I'll go ahead and get it frayed, and then we'll go over and solder it on. Okay, right now I've just got it soaking in the acetone, and I've got it frayed here on the end. So we'll just kind of let it soak for a few seconds, and then we'll let it out, get it out, and we'll dry it. We just want to make sure there's no grease on that. We'll just let that dry for a moment, and then we'll get the flux on. Okay, I just want to show you here that we still have our basic 76 millimeters. And we'll go ahead and get our flux on here. And again, when you put this in the solder, don't go more than about 1/8 of an inch past the top of your cable end, because you don't want to harden up that cable right there. Thing with these cables is they get hung on everything when you're trying to work with them. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just melt the flux, and then we're going to start heating up our solder. We'll swap hands here. Okay. Our fitting is no longer brass, it's silver colored, so we know we got solder on it, and it just went just above it. So we'll let that cool naturally. Okay, we've got it's all cooled off. Now we just need to make sure that it's going to fit in here. And see, we've got a little bit of stick out here from where where it's frayed, and I left a little sticking out. So we'll just go ahead and grind that off just until we can get it into the grip. Don't take any more than you have to. There you go, right in there. That's what it looks like on the end. So that's where kind of a knot has formed inside that recessed area to keep this from pulling off now. But it's soldered all the way through, but we didn't get any on this to keep it, because if you do, then it's not going to want to wrap around the grip. Okay, so make sure it's just above it, and that's all you're going to harden up by the solder. Okay, I just wanted to show you that this is too big to go into the throttle housing, so I have to grind the ends of it off. So that's something you have to do sometimes. That's the way Yamaha does theirs. There's a smaller fitting, so it's not a big deal. Still fits this way fine. It just got to grind off each side of it a little bit. So that's what we'll do next. It's brass, so it grinds very fast, and it'll also get hot very quick, so be careful about that. Okay, here we go. That'll go right in there. And it still will stay in the grip too, because it's made that way. Let's get over to the bike. Okay, we'll go ahead and stick it into the grip. Fits in there perfectly. And just remember it's got to come up to the stop there. That's where it is closed. And this has got the additional little hold down here on it. Doesn't come on all the cables, some of them don't have it. I like to have them. I think I showed you in the other video where you can still get those, and I get them every chance I see them. they're pretty handy to have. I just think that they really need to have that hold down on them. Okay, see if you can see up there. We get and slide it on. I probably got it a little close. And now we'll go to the other side. All right. We'll get our little rubber cover slid up here and our carburetor cap and the spring. Well, we got to get this all put together. Get our needle in there. And that's in. And we get our retainer in. Okay. Should be it. Okay. So we'll see what we've got for travel. I think we're good. I can hear it hitting the top on the way up and bottom when you drop it. The only way to know for sure is to pull this off. So I guess I'll do that. Okay, I wished I could tell you that it was perfect, but it wasn't. And I was just a little short, so this is a trick I learned years ago when we were making cables for a lot of things. You've got this, the outer sheathing here. This is what you got to remove. It's either that or you're going to unsolder, and well, if it's too short, it's too short. You're not going to be able to do anything here without adding a new wire. But you can take a little chunk of the sheathing out. You know, I could have not showed this, but I'm elected to do it. And you know, this is how you can fix something. So I just wanted to let you know that you can do it. And to get this piece off, you're either going to split it with your Dremel, or a lot of times you can just squeeze it until it comes apart. The trick with the whole thing is not to cut this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece here. When you get so far into it, then you can just kind of squeeze it with your pliers and it'll come apart then. But just be careful not to hit your woven wire, because if you do, then you're going to have to replace it. Okay, it's kind of starting to fall apart now. Just kind of get this, because it curls around. That's how the cable sheathing is made. So just take your time, get in there and get a couple pairs of pliers, take it apart. And you might say, well, I glued this ferrule on, and yeah, you did. All I did was just take my little pencil heater here and just barely melt it. It pulled right off. I can glue it right back on. So it just kind of starts, once you've got it cut pretty good, it's hard enough that it'll start coming apart. But you still be careful. You don't want to tear up your cable inside there. Let me mess with this a little bit. Okay, I got all that off of there, I think. And what I need to do now, there is this little liner inside. It's kind of a Teflon or something. You need to make sure you get that trimmed off with the with your cable end here, so it's all square. Okay, I think we did all right. No frays, and I'm gonna mix up a little JB Weld Quick and put that on. Okay, I cut off just enough, I think. We've got, you can hear it dropping down and hitting the bottom. So it's closing all the way and opening all the way. So we should be good now. You say, how did you know how much to cut off? Well, it was just kind of a wag. But what you've got is, remember, we're completely down on our adjustment here, and we're completely down on our adjustment here. So I just did a little more than what I thought I needed, and it worked out. I mean, you can always go back and take some more. So if you just take a little bit extra, if all your adjusters are down, you should be able to pick up the slack if you need to. Okay guys, so there you have it. That's how we did turned a three-way cable into a one-way cable. And we made it a little bit longer because of our the 250 360 front forks. So, and I did get my I ordered a brake cable, and I got that in yesterday, so I've got it on there. And here's our homemade throttle cable. And let me take you around the other side here so you can kind of see what we had done before. Was it looked like we were going to have to go up here, and that's not where that belongs. It belongs underneath there. And what we'll do is we'll just zip tie it right here, so it's going straight down to the carburetor. But that gives us plenty of slack out here. So another project on the Yamaha 125-MX. So there you have it, guys. We got our cable finished. Looks like it's going to work out. And like I said, I didn't have to show my boo-boo, but it's, you know, I'm all about helping people. So, you know, that would be an expensive mistake if you had to go back and restring a whole cable, and you'd have to get, well, you could use the sheathing again, but you probably couldn't use the cable, and you'd ruin the ends. So Anyway, this is a workaround for that. I learned that back when I was probably 18 or 19 years old, working at the motorcycle shop when we were making a lot of cables, and sometimes your measurement just isn't right, and that's a way to repair that type or to fix that type of mistake. So we were just a little bit short on the amount of travel, so you just cut a little bit of the casing off. Be careful, take your time, don't cut any of the strands, because if you do, you're going to have to go back and do the whole thing. But you can do that. You just use your Dremel, get in there and 2 little pairs of pliers and pull that casing loose, and you're done. Glue it back on and you're all set. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.